I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. It's Monday, but it's a fucking miserable Monday for being a West Ham fan. I am joined to my right by Tommy. Tommy, you saw that game at the weekend. I haven't spoke to you since. How you feel now, mate? 4-0 hammering of Brighton.
Yeah, it's just lucky I didn't have any bottle of pills in the house. That was absolutely disgraceful. I mean, we've seen poor performances, and we've seen games where we've been really kind of well beaten. But I mean, this was scraping the bottom of the barrel. I mean, it was absolutely atrocious from start to finish, and there was actually nothing really you could take out of that game as a positive. Even, you know, if you were looking for little crumbs of comfort anywhere, you just could not find them. That it was just awful stuff. Just completely terrible, and frankly, I mean, it was completely unacceptable, James.
I agree, mate. I agree. I didn't do nothing yesterday. I was too fuming. I literally was so angry from Saturday night. I was like, I've got to get everything done Saturday because I want to have Sunday off. West Ham don't care about us, so why should I care about West Ham sort of thing? Do you know what I'm saying? Let's talk about the Brighton game. I know it was that bad. Why was it so bad, Tommy? Like, is it now? Let me ask you this. Is it all on the players or is it all on Moyes? Because I feel a lot of that was on the players at the weekend. I think Moyes picked the right team, in my opinion, because he had no one else. I think the subs that he done are wrong. I can give him some stick for that when we're 2-0 down. We've got Skemack on the bench. I can understand that. That first 45 minutes was diabolical as a West Ham fan.
Yeah, it was. And to be honest with you, like you, I think when I saw the formation and I saw the starting 11, I thought, okay, this is all right. You know, I'm happy. Obviously not our strongest 11, but with what was available to him, it was. So I was pretty happy before the game. I felt like we'd be competitive and that we had a chance to pick something up from that game if we turned up. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I agree with you. I do think Moyes, we can talk about how we approached it tactically. I think tactically Moyes got it wrong. But I think formation-wise and personnel-wise, it was okay. But yeah, the players certainly have to take their fair share of the blame because I think even if, look, we've seen Moyes get tactics not right before, but it hasn't led to a kind of a trimming like this, you know, and so the players have to take their share of the responsibility. I think between Moyes and the players, they just got it completely wrong on the day, you know, tactically, performance-wise, and the way in which Moyes reacted. So I think there's plenty of blame to go around, to be honest. And yeah, the players need to take a look at themselves.
I agree, mate. I agree. First off, the players are shambles. I done a space late on Saturday night with West Ham Online. Loads and loads of people come on, different content creators from West Ham. Like everyone was there and they was having their say on things. And some people were saying about the formation and the Moyes. They keep digging at Moyes. And I can understand it. I'm Moyes out as much as you are, Tommy, right? But I do look at some of these players and I think some of them are stealing a living at our club. Like I look at Ben Johnson, for instance. He can go on podcasts and talk about fan channels, but he can't defend. So, like, do you know what I'm saying? He's on 12 grand a week and this man can't defend to save his life at the minute. I look at certain individuals, Lucas Paqueta being one, literally lost. Do you know what I'm saying? Bowen, he can't finish. And I look at West Ham as a whole and I'm like, what is going on with us? Do you know what I mean? We can all go at Moyes and listen, Moyes is a problem, but some of these players are a problem and all.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what happens when you've got a dysfunctional club.
Yeah,
you know, it's dysfunctional from top to bottom, really, and it's always going to spill over onto the pitch, unfortunately. And look, we don't see what happens in training, but we get some insight. And what we heard recently from a player is that Moyes concentrates 90% of the training on how to stop our opponents. I mean, if you're using 10% of your time on the training ground on what we're actually going to do and how we want to play, and then you're on a hiding to nothing, really. So the whole thing is just a shambles, and it was on parade, really, for everyone to see on Saturday, because I think, despite the fact we've been poor all season and we've had many poor results this season, I always felt like the players were trying.
Yeah, I
When
agree
it
on
just
that.
wasn't happening for them because they just weren't set up right and the coaching wasn't right. Things were not being done correctly on the training ground, and it was showing. But Saturday for me was the first time this season where I really saw the entire team just roll over and just give up.
That reminded West Ham of old days.
Yeah, they really did. They really did just roll over for Brighton. It has to be said. I mean, the second half for Brighton was so easy. It's hard to kind of wrap your head around. How can we let them beat us so easily? It was just a training session for Brighton. They were just walking through us. I don't even like the Brighton players even felt like they were having to go at full tilt. They were just knocking about casually. Everything was just very easy for them against a side who just were putting up really no resistance. And that for me was the infuriating thing. It's like, even if you're being outplayed, at least fight. At least fight. Put up some kind of resistance. Play for the shirt. Show some pride. Because I remember at half time, I obviously was not happy with the first half performance. It was very flat. We hadn't turned up. And I thought, okay, at least it's only 1-0. We're not out of it. If they can get themselves into the dressing room, have a few words, sort their heads out, sort out tactically what they're going to change, and come out, a different team and really have a go second half, and we can get back into it. And what I saw was even worse, and I couldn't believe it. It was like, how can you come out and actually be worse than you were in the first half? And we were pretty bloody bad in the first half.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe there was no reaction whatsoever, and that they just completely folded. And that, to me, is the real worry now. I mean, I don't know, how do we bounce back from that against Villa? I just don't know. I mean,
I have no faith, mate. If you want me to be honest, I look at that game on Saturday, and I am majorly concerned, mate. I look at us. That reminded me of West Ham a long time ago, getting blitzed by teams really bad, and literally have no fight for the shirt. I'm going to go through it sort of stages in this, Tommy, and I just wanted to give me your sort of short opinions on what you think. The half-time sub of Side Ben Rumman. Listen, I like Benny. Yeah, everyone knows that. Yeah, everyone who knows me knows I've backed Benny up for a fucking long time. Yeah,
even when it wasn't popular to do it.
Yeah, and even when it wasn't, right? I don't understand why he was subbed at half-time when there was so many more players who were worse than him who were lost in the game. Right, don't get me wrong, he wasn't good. I will openly say that he wasn't good, but none of them was good in the first half. If you're going to make changes, you make two or three changes at half-time and really change it up. I don't understand that. I don't understand why Gianluca Scamacca is on the bench. Like, he's just sitting there and he didn't even get on the pitch. What do you think on that? Like, in regards of like the players who are sitting on the bench, and Moyes is just doing what Moyes always does at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just a completely bizarre decision, which I will never understand. He's bringing off Benny, which seems to be like, it's always like Benny gets the hook. It's like, what's that about? I mean, the whole team was awful, and to take Benny off and bring on Fornal. I mean, no one's going to tell me that wasn't a defensive move.
Yeah,
that was a defensive move. That was to help us defend a bit better in the middle, which didn't work whatsoever because Fornal is out in the wing. We were getting completely overrun in midfield. To bring Benny on as a kind of left-sided holding midfielder is ridiculous. It's stupidity. It was never going to work. It made no sense. I mean, if he'd shored up the midfield, centrally, if he'd got Souček off, and said, "Look, I'm going to bring on Fornells or Downs in there. We've got to try and
Agree.
get the ball
Bang
in
on.
midfield." That at least would have made some sense.
Yeah.
So we're just going to have, we're going to have Benny and Bowen and Ings up there as the three working together, and we're just going to try and shore up the middle of the field, try and get a foothold, try and get on the ball. We had 24% possession first half, and like 60-something passes.
69 passes, complete passes in the first half. It's fucking embarrassing.
I can understand Fornells or Downs for Celtic.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Try and get a foothold in the middle, in the midfield, where Sado and McAllister and that were operating and overrunning us. But to bring Fornells on the left instead of Benny,
I agree.
I mean, it was just stupidity. Well, that was never going to help us.
I agree, mate. I agree. And that's where I do look at Moyes in the Moyes aspect. Like, some of it, I do look at the players. I will move on in a minute to Declan Rice, who has been a major thing about him over the last sort of 24, 48 hours. But even he didn't shine. Like, everyone loves Declan Rice, but like, you've also got to look at him sometimes and say, well, what was that about? In regards of what you're saying, I agree. Souček should have come off, even though Souček was okay to a point, right? Or he was just okay. He should have come off. Fornell should have come on. Like, basically, you take Benny off, and then we don't have a shot in the second half. One thing I can say, at least Benny has a shot, even if he's shit. So, yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Let's talk about Declan Rice, Tommy. He's a man of many opinions over the last 24 hours. Some people have said he didn't dig out the fans, and some people said he did. What did you make of his interview about not listening to the experts?
Yeah, look, I do. I watched the whole interview. What he did earlier in the interview, he did apologise profusely to the fans for the performance. He really did. He profusely apologised for the performance and accepted it was just not good enough whatsoever. And I do think when he said that, he was talking about the media. I think that the thing with Royce is he's getting a lot of stick now. I think this is what happens when things start going badly wrong.
Yeah,
at the club, and when you're struggling, you're down the relegation zone. People will start turning on everyone. You know what I mean? Like, everybody is a target now, and I think Royce, unfortunately, now is the one who's starting to take a lot of the brunt. He's starting to get the "you're not a cap." He's not a captain. But
has he brought it on himself though, Tommy? This, because when he was in the World Cup, we'll go back to his interview when he said he wants to move and win trophies. He wants to win trophies in the future. This is not something you want to hear from your captain of the club, where we haven't won a trophy in 43 years. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, granted, look, and it's a stick that will be used to beat him with now because we're having a poor season. This would be very different if we were having a really good season, doing well, and there was like an anomaly of a game, like away to Brighton. We just don't turn up and get thumped, and then you don't kind of get this same thing of like the players will turn. Like, fans now, I think, are so angry with that performance and so pissed off. They will lash out at anybody now. And like you say, I think Declan has made a bit of a rod for his own back a little bit, and so he becomes kind of an obvious target now, because what he said at the World Cup, and because he was really poor as well on Saturday, and there's obviously been people questioning his captaincy, and people are maybe a little salty as well that he's going to leave in the summer and all that, and so it all kind of piles on, and then when something like Saturday happens, all of a sudden the daggers come out, and so you will get that. That's what anger does to people, and they will turn on people. But I'm not as down on Rice as some of the people I've seen, some of the fan base I've seen over the last few days, last couple of days. I do think he was talking about the media, not the fans, because he did apologise profusely to the fans.
It was something, I don't know about you though, Tommy, but just to cut in there, it was something when the interviewer turned around and said to him about Moyes getting the sack. People were like saying about Moyes. And he's like defending Moyes, but then
you'd expect that.
Cosmo has just said it here, because he was there. Cosmo Runner was there on the day. He said on Saturday I saw Moyes call Rice over to the touchline, give him some instructions. And it looked like Rice just shook his head in disbelief, threw his bottle down, and back onto the pitch. Like, the problem is with Deck, he wasn't good. He wasn't good at all. Like, he was lost on the pitch. Don't get me wrong, Caicedo and McAllister were unreal. Like, Caicedo, I can understand why people are looking at him as a top target in the summer, because he's phenomenal. He's just on a new deal with Brighton. But when I look at Declan, it's an hard one, because I love Declan Rice to bits. I think what he's done at his club's been amazing. But I think when I look at him, and I think, has he got the bottle to sort of get us out of this mess? He hasn't got Mark Noble with him no more. And saying Mitchell said on Saturday night, we've got no characters in the team, with no leadership. Like, our leader, one of our leaders, is playing for Wolves now. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah. I'm deeply concerned, mate. I don't know about you. Like, how do you feel?
See, the thing with the captaincy thing, perhaps it is a bit soon for him. Maybe he wasn't quite ready to lead a club. I think it was done. I think, look, he was handed it basically to try and, in a vain hope that might be something that could help to persuade him to sign a contract, make him club captain. Look, I can't lie. I had no problem with him being given the captaincy. I had no problem last season with him being the on-field captain. And I had no problem with him being given club captaincy at the end of this last season when Noble retired. Now, in hindsight, looking, was it maybe a bit too soon for him? Perhaps. But I think people can put too much on that as well, because I think, look, every club has a captain, so someone who wears the armband, but you always have leaders on the pitch, because leaders are leaders. You know what I mean? So you'll have one captain, but you might have 4 or 5 players on the pitch who actually have leadership qualities. You know, and that will still shine through. Like we said, Dawson, right? Dawson was a leader. Regardless of who the actual captain was, Dawson was still in the back, talking to everyone, getting stuff organised, leading. And he can still do that, whether he has the armband or not. So I wouldn't read too much into Declan being the captain and having the armband, because leaders will step up anyway when they're on the pitch and do their thing and be leaders. So again, I think it's another kind of stick to kind of beat him with. I think there is a certain element of the fan base, I think, that are really turning on him.
I think what it is with the fan base, though, Tommy, just to cut in there, man. What it is with the fan base is they see what he says, and sometimes they look at it in a way and think, well, you're not going to be here in the summer, mate. So do you really care? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, West Ham at the minute, that on Saturday, was probably one of the worst performances I've seen for a long, long time. I mean, like, as in lack of fight, lack of commitment. Listen, if West Ham lose the game 2-0 and they have a go and they're running around trying their hardest, we wouldn't be happy as fans, all right? But we would accept it because they've had a go. To lose 4-0, and it could have been 6 or 7. It could have easily been a massacre there. Right? It was bad enough being 4. So I don't know with Deck. I don't know. I love Deck. I think Deck's a great captain. He looks like he's a decent lad. He's a good laugh. But the problem is what he's saying in interviews sometimes, like about the noise, the outside noise. Like, all week, it's been about Declan Rice. Like, Roy Keane, Gary Neville, is he 100 million? I don't want to hear that about one of our players looking to leave. I want our players to be on the pitch trying to fight to keep us in this league at the minute. Do you know what I'm saying? So give us your sort of roundup moving forward. Now, how do we move forward from Brighton?
It's not going to be easy.
It's
not going to be easy. I think, how do the players pick themselves up after that? I suppose it depends. A lot will depend on how the players are feeling about Moyes. I mean, if he's lost them, I think we're lost. You know, if he's lost the dressing room, I think we're lost. I think we're fucked.
I agree.
You know, with Moyes still in charge, and like I say, the worry is they look like a group of players who gave up on Saturday, who just gave up, and that's the first time I could really say that this season. So that's my worry. But if he still has the dressing room, if he hasn't lost the players, then there's a chance, you know, that they could come out and respond in the correct way against Villa. but it's really hard to know. I mean, how teams will respond to that kind of performance. Either one is possible. You know, they could come out and be just completely in the doldrums against Villa on Sunday.
Yeah.
Or they could come out and say, you know, okay, well, they'll be doing it during the week, saying, look, we have to respond to that performance. We have to respond with a performance next Sunday and put that right and go out and beat Villa. So it's really difficult when you're on the outside like we are to know exactly how they're going to respond. But I think the response will tell us a lot about whether or not we have still a fighting chance to survive. If we get a bad performance again, a poor performance again on Sunday, and we lose, then I think we're screwed. Absolutely screwed.
I agree. I will come to my second topic of conversation in regards of why Sullivan is not sacking Moyes, but I agree. I think the Villa game is the final straw. I think if he loses that, then West Ham have got time then on their hands to go and get a new manager. They don't play for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think it is, because the Man City game's been called off for a later date. So it'd be a 2-week break for West Ham. West Ham play on the 2nd of April against Southampton in a massive game, literally massive. And if we lose against Villa, then he's got to go. So let's get to this topic of conversation in regards of why is Sullivan refusing to sack Moyes. I'll give you my take on it, Tommy. I see a lot of people on the spaces on Saturday night, because I do the spaces with West Ham online. People are saying, Moyes out, Moyes has got to go, Moyes this, Moyes that. I'm with you all. I agree with all of you. Right? I'm 100% backing it all day long. Get Moyes out of this club. What no one is saying is why they're not going at Sullivan. Because Sullivan is the kingpin of the situation. He holds all the cards. He hands out the P45 basically to the person who's like going to get the sack. I don't understand why no one is saying about Sullivan. I really don't. I know with Moyes it's bad, but this is not all on Moyes now. It's on Sullivan for allowing this to carry on and continuously carry on over and over again. Some people are saying he won't sack him because he's going to be setting up in the summer. And why would you sack a man and give another man a new contract? But we've discussed it on this channel, me and you, for a long, long time. Is he gambling like with West Ham, literally 50-50 to stay in this league? So I'm going to hand it over to you, mate. Why is Sullivan refusing to sack David Moyes?
I'll tell you what, this is another one that's really hard for me to wrap my head around. And, you know, I don't want to hear about too expensive to sack him. No, it's not. That's rubbish.
Yeah, I agree.
To sack him is peanuts. You know, for a Premier League club like us, it's peanuts to get rid of him. You know, we'd spend that few million on a player who's 19 without blinking. You know what I mean? It's like, it's nothing. So I don't buy that it's too expensive to sack him. It's not. It's cheap to sack him for a Premier League club. We could sack him easily, and we could replace him easily. So it's a difficult one to wrap your head around. I think part of it is that Sullivan and the club in general, we're terrible at identifying managers. We're terrible. Sullivan doesn't have a clue. Sullivan probably knows 2 names in his head. He's thinking, oh, it's going to be Benitez. He knows because he knows Rafa. He has this thing in his head, which fucking cracks me up, that, oh, we need some of the Prem experience. No, we don't. It's ridiculous. We do not need a manager with Prem experience. De Zerbi doesn't have any Prem experience. Look what he's done.
Yeah.
No, Tom Frank didn't have Premier League experience. You know what I mean?
I agree, mate.
He's a moron.
It's like they're shit scared, aren't they?
He doesn't, like, seriously, do you think Sullivan, before De Zerbi came to the Premier League, or before Thomas Frank came to the Premier League, do you think Sullivan had ever heard of these guys or had a clue who they were?
No.
Not for a second. So we don't get managers like that because he hasn't got a fucking clue who any of them are. He knows who Rafa Benitez is. And, you know, and after Rafa, he's thinking, Bielsa, I remember he was at Leeds. that Bielsa guy, he's got Premier League experience. He's not in a job.
Mm.
He also seems to be obsessed with getting someone who's out of work. You don't need someone who's out of work. Just we're West Ham, we're a Premier League team. Go take someone's manager. Just go take them. Pay them the 3 million compo or whatever they want, and just take him. We have that power. Why would you not throw it around? So this is the problem with, in my opinion, with Sullivan. He doesn't want to give Rafa a 3-year deal at the end of this season, say. He doesn't want to give him the remainder of this season, then 3 more seasons. And Bielsa, I don't know what's going on there. Bielsa might have told him to piss off. I wouldn't be surprised, because he had said previously that he wouldn't work for Sullivan. And after those two, he's scratching his head, going, and then he's coming out with leaks saying, there's no one around, no managers about. There's managers in every club in every country.
There's a manager over in France like that. People, I keep saying about Will Steele, and the more I see about him, the more I read about this geezer. He knows what he's fucking doing. He knows more what he's doing than David Moyes knows what he's doing. This geezer's only 30 years old. I hear you, mate. I hear you. I see people in the chat saying about Sullivan. For me, Sullivan's gambling big time. Like me and you've called this for about the last sort of 2 months. Since you've been jumping on the previews with me, and I always said it, is Sullivan gambling every time. And I look at him now, I think he has no choice other than to sack Moyes if it goes wrong against Villa. The problem is, if we go and beat Villa, that's all well and good. But then if we go and lose against Southampton, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And it's just, we're not going neither here or there. I'm deeply worried, mate. I'm deeply worried. I think Sullivan's a scumbag. That's my own personal opinion, right? I think he's exposed West Ham there, really. He's just ripped the arsehole out of West Ham, and we are fighting literally for our lives. That's why I look at the players on the pitch and I think you need to fight for this shirt now, because the governor upstairs don't care. He don't care. He's out the door. He don't care where we are in 12 months' time, whether we're in the Championship or the Premier League. So we need you on the pitch to fight literally for every ball, everything. I looked at a game the other day, Nottingham Forest Everton. Literally, they're fighting each other on the pitch, trying to win this game, and that's what I need to see with West Ham. I need to see some hunger in this side. Do you know what I mean? I've not seen it. Go on, man.
The problem we have now is, let's say we don't beat Villa and he gets the sack. Manager coming in, whoever it is, got 12 games. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's a tough ask. It's a tough ask to come in and change the whole culture of the team.
Yeah.
Change the way we play, get all this in place when you've got 12 games left.
Dangerous, man.
I mean, you've got to come in and you've got to beat Southampton at home in a few days. You know what I mean? It's ludicrous behaviour to leave it this late. So he's in a position now where he either just leaves Moyes there by hook or by crook and crosses everything that we can scrape by, or try to get a manager in, which, let's be honest, if someone comes in on a permanent deal, it's going to be Benitez, which is another horror story, because Benitez is playing this perfectly, by the way. Benitez want 3-year deal. And then they were like, no, we don't want to give you a 3-year deal. And he said, oh, that's fine then, I'll pass. And Benitez is sitting there waiting now, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. And we're not getting any better, and we're still banging trouble. And then if we lose to Villa and he has to sack Moyes, then he goes cap in hand to Benitez saying, fucking all right, look, we'll give you your 3-year deal. And now we're stuck with fucking Benitez on a 3-year deal. He's a moron. He's a fucking idiot, Sullivan. An absolute fucking idiot. His only other option then, if he really doesn't want to give Benitez a 3-year deal, is an interim until the end of the season. So if you're saying, Kevin Keane or Noble or whoever it is, there's someone you managed to get in who's out of work, Alan Pardew, come in, just do the 12 games for us, just keep us up. Again, you're rolling the dice with some interim manager who's got 12 games to try and keep us up. Very little time to work with the team. I mean,
this,
make it make sense, James. It's fucking ludicrous behaviour.
mate, I'm letting you just go, but I've got to get to that comment. There's two comments I want to get to, and then I'll let you carry on, mate. Sullivan will care because if we go down, a club goes down in value if he sells, not if he's already had a price set. If Kadinsky's already said to him, there's the price at the end of the season, and they've signed a contract to say he's going to sell the club at the end of the season for a set fee, it means nothing to Sullivan, mate. There's a reason why Sullivan won't sack Moyes. Well, I think we all know the reason why, and it comes to the pound note. It's all about the pound sterling with Moyes and Sullivan. Like, he knows that Moyes is a cheap option. If he goes and gets another manager, he's got to pay him a big contract, and Sullivan ain't going to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Get to this comment from Lee also. Hello, gents. Still feeling downbeat after that bloody result. 12 games left. Lee, thank you very much. $4.99. Always appreciated on this channel, bruv. 100%.
I'm not convinced he's going to sell. You know,
I think he does, mate. I really do. Especially if we go down. I think he 100% does. I look at it like this. Yeah, if this man won't pay 30 grand or 40 grand for a plane to go to Everton in a League Cup game, do you know what I mean? I've got no faith in this geezer whatsoever.
No, I mean, if we get relegated, the valuation of the club plummets.
I think it does. But I think there's a fee set though, mate. I've always said that because there's a reason why Moyes is still here.
Set. And look, no one's going to pay that fee for a Championship club.
I don't know, mate.
I mean, West Ham
a big catch.
If there's a set fee, it would have to be on the basis that we're a Premier League club. I mean,
maybe, but I've got no faith that that Sullivan stays here like longer than he should be. I think he's gone as soon as that sort of next sort of few weeks. I think he goes, mate. I don't think he's hanging about here. Like, I think he's going to cut and run. I think he's going to try and take Declan Rice's money with him. Also,
yeah, I'll be honest. I disagree. I don't think he's going to sell up.
You reckon?
No, I don't think he's going to sell West Ham. I think it's all he's got. He's already got £1 billion. I think he just likes being the owner of West Ham and having his little toy, and gives him something to do.
I don't know though, Tommy. I do look at that and I think, what else? What more can he sustain? This is not sustainable with him. Like, when you look at Kadinsky's at a different level. I see people digging Kadinsky out, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, this is nothing on Kadinsky. Like, Kadinsky's a investor, right? He wants to be like the major shareholder at West Ham United. Until he is, then you can go at him. Do you know what I'm saying? But Sullivan's always going to hold the keys to the door, isn't he? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, and he allows who stays and who goes. Like, and with regards to Moyes should have been sacked a long time ago. We both agree on that. Like, he should have been sacked before the World Cup even started. But for Moyes to still be here and there's no backup plan, and I see someone in my chat earlier on say that Sullivan's preparing for relegation. He's preparing for it. It's just, I don't know. That's mental, mate. It is.
Just bizarre behavior.
Why are we never linked with a big buyer? Perhaps not as big as we think we are. What do you think on that? I think we are a big club. I don't like that when people say that we're not a big club. I look at us in London. I look at our history, right? Look at our history at Upton Park up until 2016. I think we've developed some of the best English players to play for England. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I think
do.
Yeah, I think we're kind of in the queue, as it were. I think we're in the queue for being bought by somebody. Unfortunately, at the moment, the Man United and Liverpool are up for grabs. So I think that's obviously going to be kind of that's a big draw. For like huge investors like Qatari or Saudis and all these people. As soon as Liverpool or United go up for sale, they're going to draw a lot of attention. But I think once those clubs have been sold and they're no longer available, I mean, the rest of the clubs up there are not for sale whatsoever. So I think people start looking further down at that point, and West Ham would be kind of at that point one of the clubs they'd be looking at to say, okay, big potential here at West Ham, so that's a club we can do something with. Huge fan base, big stadium, even though we don't own it, cheap rent, big stadium, great fan base, London. So there is a lot to recommend us.
I look at that comment from Epic there, yeah? West Ham have the third biggest domestic fan base, the third highest average attendance in the country. How can you say West Ham is not a big club? I agree on that. I will be honest. Right? This is honestly time on E20's own TV, so be prepared for the 95 in my chat. When I started doing the YouTube, I never realised how big West Ham actually was, like in regards around the world. Like I was a bit naive and ignorant to it. That it was just people in Essex and London and a few people up north, maybe. Yeah, but West Ham are a big club. Like I'm talking to people from like Thailand and fucking Australia, New Zealand, everywhere. Like people who have like got West Ham in their blood. And one of the people I'm going to mention him on this channel is Charlie Boy. Charlie Boy is a massive West Ham fan. He's got everything West Ham related. The man lives in Brooklyn, right, New York, and he loves the club to death. Like, and I was a bit naive to that. So when I hear people say West Ham ain't a big club, I do think sometimes well, you need to look at it more like deeply to a point because West Ham are a big club. Yeah, it's just that we don't treat ourselves like a big club.
We're a big club domestically. Domestically, in England, we are a big club. There's no doubting that. We're not a big club in terms of international fan base, but very few clubs are. Very few clubs have a huge international fan base. You're talking about the mega clubs really that have that. But in terms of England, we are a big club. Yeah, absolutely, and we are. I do believe we're quite attractive.
But do you think it's our mentality, though, Tommy? Me and you've discussed this before on other channels. I look at West Ham, and I think the mentality has to change because, as a big clubs shouldn't be in this situation. Big clubs don't have Moyes here. Like he would have been gone.
Yeah, I mean, we just have never had fucking good owners.
Yeah,
we've never had a really good owner who runs the place properly. I mean, and you don't have to be a big club for that. Look at Brighton. Look at the way Brighton and Brentford are run. They're fantastically run clubs. I mean, if we had an owner who set that kind of structure up at West Ham, I mean, we could really do something. We could punch above our weight, but we just have always, for some reason, we've had owners that just can't do that. They're incompetent always for some reason.
I do like that from the corner. Yeah. I must admit, our trophy cabinet is like customer complaints department. I agree, mate. I really do. I do worry. Like if I'll be absolutely devastated, like everyone else, like if West Ham do go down. But the problem is that I do believe the mentality at this club has to change. West Ham shouldn't be accepting being 16th or 15th in the league. For me personally, since the moment we moved from Upton Park, our spiritual home, to the LS, West Ham should be a top 12 club every year. Top 12. I say 12 because you can't be 10th, the top 10 every year. Things happen, injuries, suspensions, things happen in life. Yeah. Top 12, as in finances, resources, like as in like the area. We should be bigger than what we are. Like, we should be.
You look at the top half of the table. Like what is it, 17th, 9th? You've got Fulham, Brighton, Brentford.
Yeah.
Like, come on, if those clubs with very limited resources, who are obviously well run, can do that. Now imagine what we can do. We can be up in that position. We can be, even on a good season, we could even put pressure on the big sides who are maybe not having a great season. You see Liverpool have struggled a bit this season. Chelsea have struggled a bit. Newcastle are falling off. We should have the capability to potentially take advantage of that in a good season.
I agree.
But right now, we're just nowhere near it. And it just shows to show the incompetence at this club from top to bottom.
I absolutely agree, mate. I really, really do. Get your questions in, because it's questions time for Tommy. So get your questions in for Tommy in regards of anything you like in West Ham related. Obviously, moving forward, everyone's going to Larnaca this week. Give us your quick assessment on that, Tommy, because I've seen a lot of people say about the conference and say it's time to put your second string side out for that and concentrate on the league. And the fear is that I have is West Ham are going to be caught in a dilemma. Do you value Europe or do you value staying in the league? Give me your thoughts on
that. I think the crunch will come later as regards the Conference League, because I think we can rotate against Larnaca. Over 2 legs we can rotate and we'll still have enough to see them off. The crunch will come by the time we play in the quarterfinals, whoever that might be, because it's very likely going to be a much better side than Larnaca. Yeah. And if we haven't picked up some points and kind of eased the pressure off ourselves for relegation, then I think we're going to have a real issue. Because Moyes is already complaining that he had to play Wednesday, Saturday this week. It's exactly the same as we did all last season, Thursday to Sunday. It's the same bloody thing.
Yeah.
And so if he's complaining, saying, well, part of the reason is because, we had to play United Wednesday night and then Brighton on Saturday. If we have to play, a fucking Lazio or a Nice or Fiorentina or Villarreal or someone in a quarter final on the Thursday, and then we've got a game on the Sunday, he's going to have a decision to make, like you say. Like we're going to have to put out a full-strength side against one of those teams on the Thursday. Yeah. We can't heavily rotate for those games. And so we could be tragically in a situation where Moyes might decide, I have to win this game Sunday. I have to win it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to put a weakened side out against, let's say, Fiorentina. And then we end up getting knocked out of a competition we could have won because he's shit at his job and he's put us in a situation where we're scrapping for our fucking lives with a few games left in the season. So, it could cost us everything. We could end up, getting knocked out of Europe because we have to play, a weakened side and then get fucking relegated anyway.
It's just the West Ham way, mate. Win the conference, get relegated from the Premier League. Can't make it up. Tom, do you agree with me? It's got to be Ings and Scamacca up top for Villa.
I don't think it has to be. I don't think Moyes will ever play 2 up top. So that's not going to happen. But as we spoke the other day, James, what I would say is that I would love to see Scamacca in the 10, like behind Ings. I would like to see that at home to Villa. I think they could, do really well together. Like I said, Scamacca playing kind of the Teddy Sheringham kind of role, the slightly deeper lying role with Benny on the left. Yeah. Bowen or Antonio, frankly, at this point on the right, because Bowen's getting on my tits.
Great.
So, I think that might work, but I don't think I would put them necessarily up top together in a 4-4-2. I think I'd maybe have 4-2-3-1 potentially instead. But essentially, they'd be spending a lot of time, shall we say, in and around each other, in and around the box.
I agree with you. Esther says Moyes wants a trophy. He wants to win a game, mate. That's the first thing. I've got no faith in him doing anything in this conference.
Every manager would like a trophy.
Like, I look at us in this in this week. If West Ham can't go over there with a second string side and turn this team over, then there's something wrong. I look at our second string side and I'd think, you know what, we can do something there. We've got, in one way, the Villa game becomes a huge game for a lot of reasons because it gives us a 2-week break to sort ourselves out. I see something earlier on from Sam Allardyce. I couldn't believe it. He said that maybe the boys need an holiday, and I'm thinking every West Ham fan needs a holiday at the minute watching us. You know what I mean? It's terrible. It really is. Let's see what else there is. I wonder if going out in the conference wins will give us the impetus to get us out of the relegation battle. Do you think at that, Tommy, if we can build confidence in the conference, it might lead into the Prem? But the problem is with the Premier League is we see it last year in the Europa League. They just can't maintain it. It just Thursday, Sunday, they was getting battered in games after Europe. What are you saying for that?
Yeah, I mean, we saw last season that the opposite was the case. Because we were playing in the Europa League last season, obviously putting our first choice team out. We had to, the teams we were playing were good quality teams, and it actually adversely affected our performances and results in the Premier League. So, unfortunately, no, I don't think it will. Because it didn't last season. So.
I agree, mate. Bees knees. Tommy, do you agree that the players' form have nosedived because of Moyes' rubbish tactics and formation and substitutions?
Yeah, he makes it more difficult for them to win games than it should be. There's no doubt in that. And
I agree on that.
I think even you saw it very recently. I think it was after the Tottenham game. Even Rice came out and basically had a little dig at Moyes. How defensive it was. And I don't imagine for a second the players enjoy playing that kind of football. I don't think players want to play that kind of football, that negative defensive crap. And I think it was kind of only a matter of time before the wheels came off, and I think we saw that at the weekend. I don't think the players enjoy it. No, well, I certainly don't enjoy losing, and I certainly don't enjoy not winning games. Certainly don't enjoy losing 4-0 and playing crap. And I think the players don't have any particular belief in what Moyes is asking them to do. I don't think they have for a while, and I don't see that changing, unfortunately.
I agree, mate. I agree. I've got a question for you, Tommy, and that's going to be an interesting one, what I'm about to say. But do you have any faith that Moyes can keep us in this league? Like, do you think he can?
Not faith. I think, like, if we do stay up, it'll be by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and say he's definitely relegating us. We might not. We might scrape through. That's possible. There are other really poor sides down there who are struggling as well for points, and so we might get away with it, but it will be in spite of Moyes and certainly not because of him. So I don't have faith in Moyes in that sense. I don't have faith in Moyes turning our season around where suddenly we start playing much better and start winning more games. I don't think that will happen. I think with Moyes all season, we've been treading water, and I think it will be a case of treading water all for the rest of the season. So I don't have faith in him to pull us away from the relegation zone.
Let's get this coming from words and pictures. Sullivan isn't going to prove his Christmas decision wrong by sacking Moyes. If we stay up, the Sullivan and sports media will claim West Ham fans don't understand football. The one thing I don't understand is when people from the media say about the West Ham fans, they make it seem like we have got no idea what we're seeing. Do you know what I mean? Like, our eyes don't lie. Like, you can have all the data analysis going, you can have all this XG bollocks that I keep hearing, but your eyes don't lie to you. Like, if West Ham looked bad at the weekend, and that's just the start. I'm nervous in regards of the question I just asked you. I really am. The more I look at West Ham, someone said it today. We've only won one game all season away from home. That was Villa away, and I remember that game. And that was August. That was in August. It was a 1-0 win, and 4-0 was literally deflected shot up in the air over Martinez, and then we defended for our lives for the last 15 minutes. Yeah. So,
and if you remember, James, that the first half of that game was almost
awful.
Brighton.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it was horrific.
It was two bad teams back then, and one of them had even worse manager than we had, and obviously Gerrard. So it's one of them. Let's get to this. A long while ago, I was ready that everything is ancient with Moyes, and even training that the Dutch trainer or something had to come over years ago when he was at Man United and said that Robin van Persie consistently injured. I don't know what that's all about, but make it what you make it. Anything you want to discuss, Tommy, before we go?
No, I don't think so. I think there's nothing off the top of my head that I want to get into, but
yeah. I'll tell you what I would ask you. Give us a prediction for Thursday. What do you think Thursday?
Given I don't know anything about Larnaca, and I don't know how heavily Moyes will rotate, I think we'll have too much for them. They'll give it a go, and I don't think we'll wipe the floor with them or anything like that. But I think maybe 2-0 away win, something like that, because they're obviously not going to be great. And we will rotate. And I think the players that do play for us on Thursday night, I think they'll be up for it. And they'll be delighted just to be on the pitch, playing in a game in Europe. And I think they'll have a little bit of a spring in their step, and they'll go out there and get the job done, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to say that West Ham will put about 3 past this team. I think he's going to play Scamacca, Fornells, Downs, to name them 3 for starters. I want to see Zuma back in this team. I know he come on at the weekend. He couldn't really do a lot, but I want to see him play a game, get like match fit. So we're going to need him.
Cornet, I think we'll see a bit of Cornet as well.
I hope so. I think we need some of these players back and fast. Like, we can't keep giving them time to come back and getting them up to speed. We didn't mean the team there. You know what I'm saying? Because we're fighting for our lives. I would like West Ham, for me personally, to put this game to bed on Thursday, like quick, and to say, right, the game's done. You play the kids in the second leg, and basically have a 2-week break and prepare ourselves for basically the final 11 games of the season.
Yeah, like you say, if we get a really good result out there, any kind of win, really. We get any kind of win out there, even if it's 1-0, then it gives you the confidence at home, second leg. We can play, second string again and see our way past them without too much fuss. And like you say, it allows the kind of first team players to really concentrate on we actually won't have a game after that second leg until Southampton at home for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So it means they can get on the fucking training ground and try and do something, to sort themselves out. But I have no confidence that'll happen, to be honest, under Moyes. I mean, look, if we got fucking so few. We got 13 games left. I mean, if he can't do it, if he hasn't done it by now, why would we feel like? I mean, he had the whole World Cup break, and we came back and fucking stunk the place out against Arsenal. I mean, why would we think a couple of weeks is going to help him to sort it out? It would have happened long before now if he was capable.
Yeah, I actually agree. I really do. But we will see what happens. Tommy, thank you very much for coming on today. I really do appreciate it, mate, as always. Everyone, it's been a rough weekend for us all. I will say that. And West Ham just never failed to surprise me ever. Like, 1 minute it's like we're all smiling, happy, 4-0 victory against Forest. 7 days later, we're getting absolutely blitzed down on the south coast. This week, for me, conference, I hope everyone enjoys themselves out in Larnaca. I will say that. That's the first thing. And I expect West Ham to get the job done out there Thursday. Right? No problems. Like, if we can't beat that team in Cyprus, then all the lads should be left in Cyprus and become reps. You know what I mean? Club reps at the local hotels. So, do you know what? Moving forward, I'll need to see something. I keep saying this over and over again. I want to see West Ham perform. And like, Villa comes on Sunday, and we need a win. Right? We need to win and get out of this mess that we've managed to sort of land ourselves in. But we will see what happens. Please do smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new around here, and hit the notification bell. Goes a long way, really helps me out. One thing I will say, go over and watch the player ratings and the afterthought from Saturday, because it was absolutely mental. I will say that. I had some new lads on the afterthought. Joe speaks very, very well, really nice geezer. And I'm going to try and get more and more people on as time goes on, because I'm not going to just make it about me, Mitch, West Ham Online, Lucas and Tom. I'm going to get so many people on because I want to hear different West Ham opinions. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, let's go over and check that out. Anyway, I'm going to let you enjoy your Monday afternoon / evening, and I will see you again in the next one. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.